to Kickin It in the Kitchen, a series by the Catalyze podcast. I'm your host, Aadya Gattu from the class of 28. This series explores the how, why, and what behind the Morehead-Cain Summer Enrichment Program. Over the course of 4 years, scholars progress through outdoor leadership, civic collaboration, global perspective, and professional experience. These metamorphic summers are designed to help scholars develop leadership skills, increase self-awareness, and expand their understanding of the world. In this episode, we speak with Wehazit Mussie from the class of 26 about her professional experience summer, where scholars begin to explore the transition from Carolina to the working world by pursuing a professional internship. Wehazit interned for the Clinton Health Access Initiative in Ethiopia with a focus on data analytics. Wehazit, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're studying, your class year, involvements, where you're from?
Yeah, so I am a senior. I'm class of 2026, and I am a pre-dental history and medical anthropology major. And so I'm really, really passionate about public health. And so I think that's like pretty reflective in like my involvements. And I do like undergraduate research at the Nutrition Research Institute, which I really, really love. And we focus on eating disorders in people of color. And then another one of like my favorite commitments is the Minority Health Conference, which is the largest student-led public health conference in general run by students.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. And so I'm like a co-chair on that. And it's just, all of those have been like really, really great experiences to learn more about like public health and like all of those things. Yeah,
I mean, Carolina has a fantastic public health program, so that's awesome. Can you walk me through your journey for your professional experience summer? Yeah. I mean, clearly, I think you went in with a bit of a desire to work in public health, but I'd just love to hear about your inspiration.
Yeah, of course. So all of my summers, my Morehead summers, have kind of been surrounded by public health and public health like clinicians, which has been really amazing. And so coming into planning for a PE, I knew that I did want to focus on public health. So my civic summer, we spent working with Johns Hopkins and Morgan State University to work to increase diversity in cardiovascular research trials, which is great. And then the summer after that, I did a public health and nutrition course. And then I was an undergraduate researcher in Zanzibar to work with malaria and malaria transmission with the School of Medicine. And those summers were really great. They all taught me like lessons. So I knew that, my professional experience summer, I wanted that to be the same. And so I started planning pretty early. I had like a lot of meetings with various people to ask like what they think like I should be doing. How can I make the most out of this summer? And I met a lot of great people, a lot of Morehead alums who were willing to help. And so when I found out about CHI,
which is the Clinton Health Access Initiative.
Yes, sorry. Awesome. I really, really liked the work that they were doing. And I really wanted to be a part of that in any way that I could. And so I started reaching out to previous scholars who have worked with them. And then I reached out to a Morehead-Cain alum who currently works with them. And that's kind of what got everything started with that.
Yeah, I think that's a common trend amongst scholar summers is that the Morehead community, the current and the alum, it's so supportive.
It is, like, truly.
Truly. It's unbelievable. But can you talk to me about any roadblocks or redirections you had in the planning of this summer?
Yeah. So before I, started, my PE planning, officially, I did not think that I wanted to spend, another summer abroad. I spent, the past summer before that abroad, and it had been a great experience, but I really just thought that I'd want to be here. And so when I started working with CHI initially and started talking to previous scholars who worked with them and the alum, I really emphasized I wanted to be in one of their offices in the US. And as time went on, as it got closer to like deadlines and things like that, it kind of became clear that I'm not really sure if that's going to be able to happen. And I had a lot of like advice to work in a program area country. And so, yeah, that was like my biggest roadblock, but it turned out to be great. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? So did you choose the country you worked in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I, after realizing I don't think it's going to be possible to work in the country, I decided that Ethiopia would be the best country for me to be in because it has personal connections and it has like professional connections, and I know that it'd be a really formative experience for me. So
yeah, that's awesome. You seem to have really wanted to work with the Clinton Health Access Initiative.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me a bit about what the work they do and why you really felt connected to it?
Yeah, of course. So in the summers previous, I've kind of done more front-facing work with like patients or people in the research trials or people who are going to be like in our research. And so that was all really, really great. But I found these like common themes within that of like big picture barriers that like I want to be able to help like change. So it's really, really great to do like these like changes on like a smaller scale. But I think what CHI does really, really well is work on like that bigger scale. And so they work with the government and they work with like the Ministry of Health and like all of these like really, really big like organizations or things of that nature. And so I don't know, I really, really appreciated the fact that they are doing really, really important work and they're just trying to make things easier for, you know, like that front facing work and for those clinicians. And I really wanted to be a part of that. Yeah.
I mean, to me, it kind of sounds like a synthesis of your summers before. You were working on smaller tailored projects and now it's this kind of policy thing. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you've had personal and professional connections in Ethiopia. Have you been there before?
I have not. That was my first time. Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell me a bit about what it felt like to be there?
Yeah. So I was really lucky. My mom had grown up a little bit in Ethiopia.
Really?
Yeah. And so she came with me for like the first like 2 weeks
of
special. My trip.
Oh my gosh.
She speaks like the language and, you know, she like knows her way around and she's been there in recent years. And and then she knew like where my family was and all of these things. And so that really, really helped. But coming there, it was just like kind of surreal because I had never been surrounded by so many of like people who, you know, like shared like similar like cultural values and who like looked like me. And yeah, it was just like a really crazy thing to like experience. And it was really beautiful to learn about like the way that like my culture and their culture like are similar. I'm from Eritrea and it's like right above Ethiopia, but it was just like such a welcoming community that I was immersed in, and I met so many wonderful people there who went out of their way so much to like make sure that I was like comfortable and that like I was okay and that I knew how to get around. And so I really, really liked it.
Can you tell me about the biggest challenge working and living in a place you hadn't been before?
Yeah. I think I realized through, like during my experience that there were some ideas that I was bringing in from like previous like summers and like previous work. And in some ways that was helpful, but in some ways like it was not, because it was as if I was like coming in with these like ways to help already. And it's like, they can tell you how they need to be helped. Like you don't have to come in with this like, I guess like these like expectations or like of how you are going to like make a difference. Like it's not up to you to decide that, especially when you're doing like public health work. And again, you're like working with people who can actively tell you what they need. And so I think like that was like something that I had to change, just like being able to like listen more and like then do whatever I need to do based on, you know, what they need.
That sounds a lot like the training we had for civic collaboration before, that ethnographic interviewing kind of community focused, like, what's it, human-centered design process?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's what that reminds me of. Can you talk a little bit about your day-to-day at work?
Yeah. So I was really lucky. I lived like right across from
that's
my
nice.
office. There was like some moving around, but at the end I started very quick commute. And so I would go to the office around 9:00 and I wouldn't leave till like about 5. So like our typical 9 to 5. We would have our meetings in the morning with like the entire staff. And then we'd have a weekly meeting with like our project director, like in the mornings. And then I would kind of go on and, do all the work that they like assigned me to do, which was like a lot of like data analytics and like documentation and just making sure that they have like a centralized, like knowledge like base. And then one thing that I really liked, they would do like weekly or midday like coffee. Yeah, Ethiopia is like really big on coffee. Yeah. And so if I was like ever tired, like I knew that I just had to make it to like that midday and like I would have my coffee and then I'd be like wired and set for the rest of the day. And then like I would just continue like doing my work after lunch and then I would go home. And I really wanted to do like various like experiences like in Ethiopia. So like I found a yoga studio to go to. I found like a place to do like pottery. I found like a gym and just like doing like these really cool experiences, like meeting people was like really great and like made it feel like more immersive. Yeah.
Just on that coffee note, I was in like an Ethiopian coffee ceremony last year.
Really?
That was like the strongest coffee I've ever had. It was so good.
I did not expect it.
So you mentioned to me before we started speaking that it was a data analytics focus in your internship. Was that something you chose or were assigned to?
I was assigned to it, but I think that it was based on what I had been telling them about like my previous experiences. During my summers and during like the school year and like the time commitments that I was working on. So yeah, I think like that's how they decided that I was going to go to that focus area.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier you're a history and medical anthropology double major.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, you're okay.
Can you talk a little bit more about that data analytics part? I feel like that's such a wide range of ability. Yeah. So I think a lot of like my data like analytics like skill came from being like an undergraduate researcher. So in my main lab, a lot of the things of what we did was like learning how to collect like all of this information to make like very informative decisions and like interventions. And then in my summer for my global experience where I was working in that lab, it was a lot of more like data collection and learning how to like analyze that and make like informed decisions. So I think like both of those experiences like came together. And I think like my like history and medical anthropology background helped a lot because you know more about like the backgrounds and like the historical like like
I
the
guess,
context.
Like, the context of like where you're going. And especially for medical anthropology, you learn about like how like medicine is like and medical practices and medical like feelings and knowledge is like very based on like where you were raised and like where you grew up, and
it's just a thing about people.
Yeah, exactly. So that like all really came together.
That's beautiful. Can you tell me what surprised you about working for the Clinton Health Access Initiative? How did you grow?
Well, they were so like willing to help me learn, and like that is really what like they focused on. So I would work with like they have a couple different like program areas, so I would work with like each of the program areas to learn more about what they did. And I think like that, I guess like them going out of their way to make me feel like I am getting like the most I can out of this experience was something like I really appreciated and something I hope to like take with me in like my future commitments. And yeah, I think like that surprised me the most, like how considerate they were of like my experience and like my learning experience. And
that's really special. Do you have any funny stories our listeners should hear about your summer?
I think my favorite story from there is like the first weekend my mom and I like went to church and we found this like on Google Maps and it was like the closest one to us, so we walked there. And then, you know, like we're sitting in the front row, like I'm a little bit tired, but it's okay. And my mom kind of just like gasps and I'm like, is she okay? Like I look over, like that wakes me up. I'm like, is she okay? And then she like looks up at the altar and she's like, do you know who that is? Like talking about the priest. And I'm like, no. And she was like, that is the man who baptized you. Oh
my
gosh. What are you talking about? And she was like, yeah, like, and mind you, I got baptized when I was like 9 months old. Yeah. So I was like, I was 21 at that point. But she was like, yeah, like he baptized you. And I didn't know he would be there. None of us knew that he'd be there. And I hadn't seen him in what, like 20 years?
Yeah.
And then after church, we went to go speak with him. And he was like shocked too, because the last time he saw me.
Surely he didn't recognize you.
He recognized my mom. Okay. He recognized my mom. And I think it like took him a second to like recognize who I was. And
surely you look a little different.
I would hope. And yeah, so it was just like really, really crazy. And it was kind of just like this surreal like experience, like out of all the places that you could be.
It's this random Google Maps
church. It's this random Google Maps church. And I'm like seeing someone who I, haven't seen in so long. And
that feels fateful.
It did feel really fateful. I feel like a lot of my like Morehead experiences have felt like really, really fateful. Yeah. And then after that, like he would help like, after my mom left, she would help like me figure out like things to do or like ways to just feel like more comfortable and go out of his way to like, take me around if I needed to. And so, yeah, very faithful, like you said. And it was just like a really crazy thing to see.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
My last question for you. Yes. If someone asked you how the summer impacted you, what would you say? I know you touched on this a little bit, but give me a thesis.
Yeah, of course. So I think this summer is like really special in the sense that I grew like very personally and professionally. I think personally, I met so many like family members who currently like live in Ethiopia, and they would like tell me about like, my family members and like how they grew up and about my grandparents who I don't know much about. And so that was just like a really amazing thing. I kind of came out with like a new like found like I guess sense of like who I am and what my culture is and all of these things, and they were just like so willing to help and make me feel like I'm at home, and so that is like something I want to take away from that. And then professionally, kind of in like the same way about how like my boss and like the staff and my coworkers really like went out of their way to make this like such a big like learning experience. And I think what I got from that is like that is the goal of like these summers, is to like learn and to be better professionally and how to like listen more and how to create projects not based on what you think you can do, but like what they are telling you you can do. And so
well, I love that. And thank you so much for sharing all your stories with me. And thank you for listening to Kickin' It in the Kitchen, a series by the Catalyze podcast. I'm your host, Aadya Gattu from the class of 28, and that was Wehazit Mussie from the class of 26. You can learn more about the Morehead-Cain Summer Enrichment Program on our website at morehead-cain.org. This episode was recorded on video at the Morehead-Cain Foundation at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. You can watch all of our Kickin' It in the Kitchen videos on our YouTube channel at Morehead-Cain, and if you prefer to listen, you can find Catalyze wherever you get your podcasts. You can let us know what you thought of this episode by emailing us at communications@moreheadcain.org or by finding us on social media at Morehead-Cain. Thank you for listening.